Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be making a tier list ranking all the Age of War 1 units, towers, and special abilities on a chart from S tier to F tier. And fun fact, this is actually the first time in the history of the internet. I couldn't find anybody else that's ever done this. Completely unique experience you're about to witness. The first time that somebody has ever made a tier chart ranking the Age of War units. And how often can you say you witnessed a unique experience on YouTube? And on a quick side note, this was community driven. I asked in the post section on the channel where people would rank certain units and stuff like that, and a lot of people gave me feedback. So just want to shout out everybody that commented there, because that definitely helped me kind of direct this chart in the right direction instead of being biased to certain units. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I do want to go over the rankings and how I'm categorizing the units before we get started. So an S tier unit is a unit that allows you to win, or you build an entire strategy around. Elite unit or unique role, just a unit that really changes the game. An A tier unit is a really good unit that you're actively trying to build, carries its weight, has a good return on investment. Although it's not as good as an S tier unit, they're still highly desirable and like you want to build them. B tier is not bad. It's something that you're probably building every single game. It's something that you do want to build. However, it's not game changing. If you were to pick between like a B and an A tier turret or unit, you're more likely going to go A, although B tiers are still good and carry their weight. Anything in C tier has its uses, and some of them are pretty good, but for the most part it's skippable and is not really something you're actively building, but maybe in occasional games you will build it. Anything in D tier is just bad overall, something you're most likely skipping, you're not building, and just doesn't really help you that much. F tier is so bad that it actually hurts you by building it, since you're wasting money building slots and all that stuff. So that's the breakdown on the tiers. I took these screenshots myself, fun fact, because I couldn't find like good icons for this video. Clubman is iconic. Everybody knows that guy. Put that guy anywhere, everybody's like, oh, that's Age of War. He spawns fast. He's really cheap, only costs like 15 gold. And there's a huge meta and impossible mode where people just use the Clubman until like pretty much the end of the game, because they spawn so quickly, they can hold their weight and then they stack at the end. So I really think Clubman, it has to go S tier. I hate to start like the S tier off with the first unit, but Clubman has to be S tier. That unit is just really good. It's iconic. There's strategies built around him. Next, we have the Slinger, aka the Catapult Man. And this is a good early ranged unit. Spawns fast, does good damage, shoot behind the other units. I don't think it's S tier, but I do think that it's going to be A tier, just because of how strong, cheap this unit is, and it also scales decently too. The Dino Rider is a personal favorite for me. One of the first videos, or actually the first video we ever did on the channel, was a caveman only run, and I was just gassing up the Dino Riders the whole time. The Dino Riders are cool because they actually do a lot of damage. They spawn at a decent rate. They scale really well into like later stages in the game. Like they can still hold their weight. Are a little bit expensive in the early game. A tier overall. Funny, we're starting the tier chart off with all the caveman units as S and A tier, but I mean really that's where they should be. Next we have the Rock Tower, Rock Sling, or whatever it's called. And this tower is interesting because it's pretty slow, does decent damage, does more damage than the Egg Tower that we're going to talk about next. However, it's just a skippable unit, and I really don't see any instances, except if you're just really low on money, that you would ever get this Rock Tower. So I think it's D tier. Not a good tower, especially when compared to the next tower. And the next tower is the Egg Tower, which is arguably one of the best towers in the game. It shoots really quickly. Also, if you do look at it, it's interesting. You'll see that there's an actual chicken on there. I always thought that was like a little rock, and that lever hits the chicken, and then the chicken shoots out the egg. So it's a pretty brutal tower. That's pretty brutal. It's an overall really strong tower. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it just shoots so quickly, and there's entire strategies built around it where people go for egg towers and have that until like the last stage of the game. So this one has to be S tier. Egg Tower, S tier. Next we have the Slingshot or Catapult or whatever this thing is called, and this thing is terrible. It misses half its shots. It costs 500 gold, which is like 2 egg towers. Expensive in the early stages of the game. It does good damage though, and if the enemies are clumped up, it will hit its shots because it can't miss at that point. But it's really just getting outclassed by the chicken tower, and honestly even the Rock Sling is better than this one. So this is gonna be our first F tier, where it actually hurts you to build it because of how expensive it is. And finally, in the caveman era, we have the Meteor, a special ability, and this is the first special ability you get in the game, but it does a lot of damage. It scales really well into the late game, does a lot of damage early game, and it loads pretty quickly. Pretty much one-shots everything in that early stages. So, and this one has to go S tier just to how strong that ability is and how well it scales. So that's the caveman era. Overall, there's a pretty big split between really good units and really bad ones, and I think the caveman era, if I was to rate it, is an S tier era. Like that era is just really good, and that's why people stay the caveman era until the late game. Next we have the medieval era. In this era, obviously after the caveman era, and it's pretty interesting because you get different units. If that's interesting. I don't even know. It's pretty interesting because you get different units. That's a top tier commentary. But anyways, the first unit that you get is the swordsman. This is a good unit. It's a little bit more expensive. I think it costs like 50. Does some good damage. He also looks pretty cool, although he's just not going to really win you any games. Like this isn't like a unit that you're excited about. It's just a unit that you kind of get. So I'm going to put it in a B tier unit that you just kind of get, but it's a good unit. Next we have the archer, which is a good ranged unit. I was actually going to rant in this video about how I hate that it's called an archer because it clearly has a gun. Why would they give him a gun and not a bow? Doesn't make sense. What kind of archer wears this heavy armor? I never liked that aesthetically, but as I was taking the screenshot, I was zooming in on the archer, and it actually has a crossbow, and it has like a unique animation too for the crossbow. I'm not going to rant about that, even though I kind of did already, but it's a good unit and it does good damage, shoots at a range. It feels like something that you want to build, although it's not notable. Kind of in the same category as the swordsman, so I think a B tier. Next we have the knight, and the knight is probably one of the most iconic looking units in the game. So well designed. The lance has the horse, moves a little slow for having a horse, and it's just expensive. It's an expensive unit. 500 gold. It's a lot of money at this early stage. Doesn't feel cost efficient because I can get 10 swordsmen for the price of one knight, and it just feels like a skippable unit because of how strong the other units are in comparison. I'm gonna have to go C tier. It hurts me to do that. If we're doing it just off of looks, it's an S tier unit. Although if you are trying to win in the medieval era, then you probably do want to spam out a bunch of knights, but you can only get so many because of how pricey it is. All right, our first medieval tower is the catapult, and this is just a bad tower. It's in the same category as the caveman one. It misses its shots, decent damage, but it's just not good. I wouldn't get it. You're wasting a building slot by having it. I'd rather have a knight than this tower. This tower is just so bad. Next we have the fire catapult, and this one has the same issue as this catapult here, but it has a fire ability. So when it misses its shot, which it does because they all miss their shot, it does have some splash damage and some little shrapnel that flies around. It does some damage. So with that said, it still misses its shots, but that splash damage does help. And if the enemies are grouped up, it actually can do some decent damage. But I actually do like this tower, so I'm gonna go B tier on that tower, which might surprise some people because of how much it misses, but that splash damage does help. Does some decent damage there. I think egg towers are still better, but there is an argument to use these. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. The last medieval tower is the oil tower. This is the worst tower in the game. It has the lowest range ever. It's super slow, and even with the enemies right under it, it still misses its shots. It's so terrible. And if the oil is pouring on the enemies, then you're already dead because that means they're in your base and you're cooked. So this is just a terrible tower. This one should be in a whole nother tier down here. It should be oil tower, and it should be in a whole nother tier, like F minus, because this tower is so bad. I almost feel bad putting these towers next to this tower because these towers are so much better than this awful tower. Like these towers are like S tier compared to this thing. It's so bad. It's crazy how bad it is. Next we have the arrow ability, and this ability is pretty similar to the meteor strike where it damages everything on the field. It does shoot a little bit quicker, does some good damage as well, but apparently somebody told me that it actually does less damage than the meteors. So I'm still gonna put it A tier because this one does pretty good and it actually does a lot of damage, clears out the field pretty well. So I'm gonna go A tier on the arrows. And that's the medieval era done. Most of the medieval stuff is in B tier and below. We have the arrows in A tier, which is the highest ranking one. Overall for medieval, I'm gonna say B tier just because of how bad some of its towers are, but it has some good units as well, but everything is just expensive. So I think B tier for medieval era if I was to rank it. Next we have the Renaissance age, which aesthetically is one of the best ages. This era is just so nice. The designs, the tower, everything about this era is just beautiful. The era itself, it's a little skippable. It's a little skippable. First we have the dueler. It's a solid melee unit. It's a little expensive. It's not the best unit cost efficient wise, but it's also the cheapest in the era. Do what you gotta do. I think it's in the same category as the medieval melee unit, where it's a good unit. It's something that you're definitely gonna get, but it's not something you're excited about. It's not like, oh, I really need duelers. It's like, yeah, I'll get the duelers just to maintain my dominance on the field and like hold the enemies back, but I'm not like excited about them. You feel me? When the heal ability is on it though, which we'll go over later, the heal ability, it actually is pretty strong. Next we have the Musketeer, which is a very cool looking unit too. Has a nice little hat, has a cool gun. It's in the same category as the dueler. One cool thing is the Musketeer can shoot 3 units back, so you can have 3 units all shooting at once, which is pretty good damage. It's not like a crazy strong unit. It's not going to change the sway of a battle. It's something that you're going to get, but not something that's going to like win you the game. And next we have the Cannoneer, which is actually in the same category as the Knight here. This one costs 1,000 gold, which is the same price as 5 duelers, and I would rather have 5 duelers than this one dude. He does pretty good damage though. Actually does a lot of damage, one of the strongest damage units in the game relatively to like age, but he can't shoot behind stuff, which doesn't make sense because he has a cannon. You would think he would be able to like shoot behind the dueler. He can only shoot one ahead of him. Just not a cost efficient unit. The first one is the small cannon, and according to the wiki, whatever, however you pronounce it, it has the same shooting speed as the large cannon, although it does feel faster. I don't know like what version of the game it's comparing that to. It's not really something that I'm trying to get. I'd rather just get the large cannon or the explosive cannon, which we'll go over next. Plays a role. It shoots a little bit quicker, I think, and it's a little bit cheaper. So if you need a tower, then it's good. It is a skippable unit. Next, we have the large cannon, which, as I mentioned, apparently does the same shooting speed as the small cannon, but it does a lot more damage, has really good range. The cannon shoots really quickly, so it never misses its shots. You feel me? I don't know if that makes sense. Fast traveling ammo, but overall nothing really special about it, but it's a good tower. So I'm going to put that in B tier. It's something that I would definitely build if I had empty tower slots in this era. And finally, for our last tower in the Renaissance era, we have our explosive cannon, which is a good turret. It has the splash damage that the fire catapult has. So that's cool. When it shoots, it has a little splash shrapnel that flies around, and it does a little bit more damage than the large. It's way more expensive though. I think it's like almost double or is double the cost of the large. So that kind of sucks. But it's a good tower. I'm going to put that in B tier. I think they're both good. This one plays a role if you have more money and want a higher efficiency tower, but this one is also really good if you don't have that much, and I think both of them are good towers. And finally, we have the heal ability. Oh man, the heal ability. I don't even know where to get started with this. So all the other abilities, we have the meteors, which kills enemies. We have the fire arrows, which kills enemies. And then we have the heal ability, which just heals your guys. It sounds cool, but it kind of sucks because if you don't have guys in the field, you just have turrets, it's not helping. And if there's a lot of enemies, it's not helping you. It's not a good ability. And it actually makes this era harder to fight in than the medieval and caveman era. Like, you don't want to appreciate these other abilities until you're in this era and you don't have them. And it goes F tier because it makes the whole entire game harder with how bad it is. If I had to rank Renaissance era, we do have some B tiers here, which are nice. We do have some C tiers, and then we do have an F tier for the ability. I think just because the ability is so bad in the Renaissance era, even though there are some decent units, that this is a C tier era. Well, like aesthetically, it's the best era in my opinion, but just with how it actually in practice it is, and practically, it's just not good. We are in the military era, which I really like this era. First, we have our melee infantry. It's a strong, tanky unit, does a lot of damage, solid overall. I think it's my favorite unit in the military era, just because of how cost efficient it is, pairs really well with the towers. I think it's a really good unit. I'm going to go A tier because I do think this unit is actually better than these ones. Although on a side note, I do think it's weird that just a military dude running around with a knife. Like, I don't know about that part. I think it's a really strong unit. I think it's a unit that you do build in this era a lot. The next one we have is the infantry, which is a ranged unit. The only issue I have with this one is it does just like over half the damage of the melee one, so it does way less damage, although it can shoot behind, but it's also not like a crazy strong unit. I'm gonna go B tier. I would rather just spam these guys out and just have strong turrets than get like these guys and pay more. I think these ones are a little bit more cost efficient, but behind melee they're good, and they're just good units. B tier is not bad, so they're good units. The tank aesthetically is S tier. It's a great looking unit. I think it's a really beautiful tank, but practically it's very expensive. It's very expensive. I can get 4 melee infantry for the same price as 1 tank, And I would rather have the 4 melee infantry and then have some money left over to buy turrets, because the turrets in this age that we're going to go over are really strong. It's just really expensive, but they are the strongest unit. So since it is the strongest unit, I'm going to go B tier. I know that kind of makes no sense compared to these ones, but I don't know. I just feel like tank is better than these ones here. I don't know if that makes sense. And I feel like I have won in this era before by going tanks. So maybe that also validates it being a B tier as well. The first tower in this era is the single turret. And this is an extremely skippable turret. It's strong, like it does good damage, but there's just really no reason to get it. Like, I don't know why you would waste money getting the single turret when you could just save up a little bit more and get the next turrets that we're going to talk about. There's just no reason to get this turret. So I'm going to go D tier. Like, that said, it's strong though. It is a strong turret, but just in comparison to the next ones, there's just no reason to get it. Now we have the rocket turret, which is actually one of my favorite turrets. This one is really cool. It shoots like a little heat-seeking rocket, does really high damage. It shoots really fast. Just a good tower. Before I knew about the stats, this was always one of my favorites. Now that I know the stats, I'm gonna have to go B tier because it is outclassed, unfortunately, by the next turret we're gonna go over. So there's really no reason to build these, except if you just like how these ones look. I have like a sweet spot for this tower. The next tower is the double turret, which is 2 of these turrets, and it just shoots really quickly, has really good DPS. It's one of the best towers in the game, to be honest with you. This tower holds up in the future age too. If you have 4 of these towers, you pretty much can't lose. It's a good tower. It has to go A tier. It's something that you build. If you're in this era, just get your double turrets. Don't get the rocket turrets. Obviously, don't get the single ones. Just get your double turrets and just set and forget. You know, just set and forget. And finally, in the military era, we have the bombing ability. This is one of the stronger abilities because it's just a plane that flies across the map and then just drops bombs. It rarely misses. It pretty much clears out the entire field. It's just a good ability. It's an A tier ability. And overall, the military age, if I was to rank it, I think is an A tier age. It's just a good, strong age. You have really good towers. You have really good infantry. You have a really good ability. The only issue I have with the military age is you're just rushing to get through it to get to the future age. So you don't really get to appreciate the military age because you're just like, all right, come on, we almost have enough XP to get to the next one. And then as soon as you get to the next one, you switch. Now we're in the last stage of the game, the future age. The first unit is the God's Blades, which is the melee unit that you get. And this is just an iconic looking unit. It's in the similar category to the other melee troops where it's just strong, a little bit more cost efficient due to it being a little bit cheaper, and it just does a lot of damage. Like, this unit does a crazy amount of damage, pairs really well with towers and just saving money. And in this future age, it's really just about saving money until you can get good towers or good units. So I think this one's an A tier because of how much damage it deals and how it looks aesthetically and all that stuff. Like, it's just a good unit. It's something that I build a lot of. The blaster kind of feels like it's in the same category as the military ranged guy. It's a strong unit. It's not as tanky as the God's Blades, but it does have the ranged, so it can shoot a little bit further. I would rather just save money for later units and not get this guy and just get God's Blades. It does play a role, so I think it's a good B tier unit, something that I'm getting, but not like super excited about. I like the God's Blades more, but it's a good unit. The War Machine is a really good unit. It's one of the best units in the game. I mean, obviously it's one of the best units. It's like the second most expensive unit in the game, so like it should be, but it's a really strong unit. It plays a unique role because you can win the game with War Machines. They're really strong units. If you don't want to wait until you can get the other stuff, you can just spam out War Machines and win. It does cost a lot at 20k, so that kind of sucks, but overall strong unit. I think it's a good B tier, same category as the tank. These eras are kind of repeating like themselves. And next we have the Super Soldier, which is the strongest unit, the best unit in the game, but it also costs the most. It's like 150k, so it's like obviously it's going to be the best unit in the game. Like, if it wasn't, then it would be down here, you know? So it's like, due to its price, like it should be, but it is the best unit in the game. This unit, if you get like 2 of these, it's basically GG, you win. It feels like it's too predictable to put it in S tier. Like, it's like Super Soldier in S tier, like that's too predictable. So I'm gonna go A tier to make it a little bit like cooler rankings. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just think it's so expensive that it's like obviously it should be the best. It's like my expectations for this unit are so high that it matches my expectation. Yeah, obviously the best unit in the game. So the first one is the Titanium, which actually does the most damage out of all three of these. Also has way less range, so it can't shoot as far, and it's way slower. It's just not that good of a turret. Like, I don't really see why you would get this turret, especially when the next two are so strong. So it's just the D tier, just not that good. Skippable. Just save your money for the better ones. The next turret is the laser cannon, which is a really good turret. It does have the least amount of damage out of all three of the future turrets, but it has a good range. It shoots really fast. It's a good turret, but at the same time, it's like, why would you get one of these if you could just save your money up for the next one? Just one of these kind of categories where it's good comparison to the other one, just it doesn't make sense to get. So it's a C tier just because it's skippable. It just doesn't make sense to get. Like, why would you spend the money getting this and then you just have to sell it anyways and replace it with the Ion Ray? Speaking of the Ion Ray, this is the best tower in the game. It is the most ranged. If you get two of these, it's pretty much GG. Nobody can get through your defense. Has really good DPS. It's also the second most expensive thing in the game and the most expensive turret in the game. So yeah, it should be the best, you know, but it's really good. And also, depending on what version you're playing this game on, you know, obviously you can win the game with this one because it has its like shots that hit the base and stuff. I think this is S tier. Like, this one, it changes the game, but just because it can win the game, I know I keep saying that, that's why it's an S tier. And our final thing that we have in the future age is the solar ability. I don't even know what it's called, solar rays or something. It just shoots down lasers and clears the field. My only issue I have with this one is it doesn't go to the edge. I feel like it ends a little short, if that makes sense. Like, it goes like here and then it ends instead of going like all the way to the end. But it's a really good ability, clears the field, pretty much kills everything. I think it has to go A tier, just a really good ability. And I'm gonna have to give future tier S tier if I was to rank it. And our last two abilities, because I'm including every ability in the game, is the sell turret ability and the add turret ability. The first one is the sell turret ability. Man, this one is good because you could sell a turret and get a more expensive turret, but at the same time, it only gives you a 50% refund on the value. So that means if you pay 100k for this turret, you're only getting 50k back. Or if you pay 200 for this one, you're only getting 100 back. And that kind of sucks. I think it's gonna have to go C tier. There is an argument for it to be an S tier if it gave you a bigger refund. But because it's only giving me 50% of my money back, I need you to work harder for me. I need you working on my behalf. You're on my payroll. I'm using you. I need you working on my behalf to get me the most amount of money possible on my turrets. 80% minimum. Like, I don't know what kind of pawn shop this ability is, but whoever's buying these turrets from me is getting a really good deal because it's selling them dirt cheap. C tier ability, you know, I'm not a huge fan of what it sells my towers for. If it sold them for more money, it would be S tier, but because of how much it's selling them for, it has to go C tier. And the final thing we have is the new turret spot, and this one allows you to build new turrets. Obviously, it helps you a lot in your game because you can have more turret slots, which allows you to win and defend your base. Aesthetically, I think it looks cool. Has a little tower, gives you more room to build stuff. I think there is an argument that the new turret spot would be an S tier. My only complaint, whoever is the engineer behind the new turret slot, I want more turret slots. Like, I want this to be 10 turret slots, not just 4. Like, why am I only getting 4? I want 10. Actually, I want like 20. I want 20 turret spots. So I'm just not a huge fan of whoever we have on payroll that's building these turret slots, because I think they could be getting me even more. And I'll pay for the researchers, I'll pay for the engineers. I just want more of it, and I don't think that it's delivering on that. And I'm obviously at war. I need more, but it's a good ability, don't get me wrong. So I'm gonna go A tier. So here's our rankings. In S tier, we have 3 caveman stuff, and then the Ion Tower. It's funny how the cavemen really are so strong in this tier list, but the cavemen are good. In A tier, we have a bunch of stuff here. We have some towers, we have some abilities, we have the super soldier. In B tier, it's kind of repetitive. We have melee, ranged, tower, melee, ranged, tower, ranged, tank, tower, and then the ranged and tank here. C tier, these are all skippable. don't really see the reason to get any of these. These are all skippable. They're good. I'm not like going crazy for them. D tier is something that you really should never build. And then F tier are worst abilities. These two towers suck. They miss everything. The oil one, it's so bad. And the heal ability is just not good. It's just not good. And it makes the era way harder. So let me know if you want me to do this for Age of War 2 and Army of Ages. I'll be down to do it. Let me know if you agree with my rankings. Let me know where I went wrong, and subscribe and like, comment, stuff, all that stuff for more videos. Whatever. That was a bad outro. But yeah, thanks for watching. Not even gonna cut that out or redo it. I'm just gonna leave it like that.